Okay, everybody, good morning. It is late in September, almost into October. I hope you're all doing well. Come right on into the room. This is kicking off a new 12-week series to finish up by the end of the year for those who really want to get on board with following the principles of success outlined in Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, written 100 years ago, #2 bestseller of all times. Millions and millions of copies have been sold, and yet only a few people out of all those people, let me just make sure we're live over here on LinkedIn and on YouTube. Yes, it looks good. All right. So come on into the room. If you will comment and let me know where you're calling in from, that will confirm that you're here. And of course, these are recorded. Good morning. Oh, so glad that everything is working today. Welcome, Aaron. Thank you so much. And look who's here. Elizabeth calling in from Rhode Island. So, oh gosh. Thank you, Aaron. So I love being here. My name is Leslie Flowers, and I was thinking this morning, the corn is as high as an elephant's eye, and it looks like we're climbing clear up to the sky. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a beautiful feeling, even though this is too high for me, everything's going my way. So come on in, everybody. We're in Calgary, calling from Calgary and Rhode Island. And usually I don't start that song that way, so it was not the way I wanted it to be, but never mind. This is 45 minutes of me sharing with you the roadmap to wealth, health, and happiness. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean that this book has synthesized 5,000 years of recorded history of business principles and universal laws. So yes, it's everywhere. And yes, it's been written for 5,000 years. It's in every religious text. You can find it in all sorts of things. The Tao, the New Testament, the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita. It just depends on what you're reading. The good part about it is that it's a common denominator. And this is what made 20-year-old Napoleon Hill the 20th century's greatest reporter on success. He was 20. And he met Andrew Carnegie, who by today's standards is probably still the richest man we've ever produced in the United States. But I don't have statistics, but he probably is. And the reason he hired, without paying him, Napoleon Hill was because he wanted him to spend some 20 years, or at least that's how long it took, to interview our country's most happy, healthy, and wealthy citizens to find out what they're doing that no one else is doing, because there are very few. And while he interviewed 10,000, I believe was the figure, it was only 500 that over the 20 years he checked in with and continued to follow through with, to watch them progress, like Edison, Ford, well, of course, Carnegie too, Rockefeller, all of the greats over the last 100 years. And this was 100 years ago. So there are a few things that really point out that there's been a lot of change over the last 100 years. However, this is the roadmap to have everything you want. No one else has synthesized this. Now, I learned in 2008, so you know just a tiny bit about me and who am I to be sharing this with you, and why do I do this? Why have I been doing this for a couple of years every Friday, like clockwork, running through 12 weeks, teaching you these principles of success from the beginning to the end? You might be saying to yourself, well, she could just sell that. And indeed I have. It's part of my program. But so are universal laws and leadership. I have 25 years in professional and personal development and 45 in corporate America. This works whether you're an entrepreneur, solopreneur, it doesn't matter whether you're in corporate America. These are principles to live by, and everything is laid out perfectly. So this week, oh, let me see. I want to say hello. Oh, thank you. That was not my best rendition. I'll try to come up with something better. Okay. Oh, it's Damien. It's so interesting that your picture doesn't show up with First Connections. You have a StreamYard account. Who knows? Glad you're here, Damien. So this is a good time to be here. And keep in mind that these are all recorded and they're on my profile page. So you might ask yourself, well, if 20 billion, if I'm not mistaken, copies of this book have been sold, then why aren't there 20 billion millionaires? Why do you think? Because we've lost our focus. We've lost our concentration. We aren't willing. We don't want to put in the work. There's too many great quick fixes out there. Anybody who tells you that you can do this overnight or in a few days, they're telling you a story. And that's what this is all about today. So story, as you know, is the big buzzword, right? Everything is story. Well, the truth is that in every one of these chapters, and the 13 principles of success are incredible stories giving you the lesson. So this is for you to be listening for when you've done these same things. You have done them, you've forgotten, and you didn't know what you were doing. Quick example for you, and I'll get into this, and thanks for being so patient. There's only 3 of you here, so I feel blessed. Well, there may be a lot of people listening because it's on YouTube too. Who knows? So the thing about, I forgot what I was going to say. It doesn't matter. Let me get right into the lesson here today. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about stories, and the stories that Napoleon Hill tells, the real life stories. And then I'm going to share with you the lesson. So then you want to look in your own life, because I said you have done this before. But now you're going to be able to piece it together. Oh, I did this. Oh, I did this. Oh, I did this. I can tell you stories about me. There's a ton of them. And today we're going to look at the story in the introduction. We aren't even getting into the principles of success. The introduction has 3 critical stories. In the introduction, if you don't get this chapter, read it again. If you still don't get it, read it again. It's not hard, but it's the fertilizer, it's the seed that you must understand as the foundation of living a life of wealth, health, and happiness. And if you know me, you know I talk a lot about why this isn't so. People are not willing. And when they become willing, they're few and far between. And that's why you'll never see me hawking my program or trying to convince you you should do this. You will know. There will be something I will say, or you'll wake up one morning and go, damn, is this all there is? There's got to be more. And that's all that's missing. That's why continuous learning is so, so important. So Napoleon Hill wrote this book, and in the first iteration of it, it didn't sell anything. It had a funny name. They just ripped the cover, didn't change a thing on the inside, and put Think and Grow Rich. Well, let's be clear here that the rich is not necessarily money. It's richness of life. However, we're not going to fall in love with money, but we actually can honor it because it is the tool that is required for us to get our message out. So you're not in love with money. You love the result. What can I do with it to improve my message? And so we're going to start today with a wonderful story. Let me see who else is here. Oh my God. Oh, there are 6 people now. Well, whoop. I didn't do as many. I've been doing this a long time, and you might be saying to yourself, well, Leslie, I've already I've already done this. Yeah, well, you were at a different level of awareness when you did it before. You're a different person today than you were yesterday. So it'll land differently for you. And out of confusion comes clarity. So anything that you didn't understand, as you're moving along learning, your awareness becomes higher. You start to see things more objectively, kind of from the 20 and 30,000 foot view. You see things you've never realized before. When you got on this call today, you had a certain perception of what Think and Grow Rich is and what you know about it. I'm here to tell you, even if you've done this every time with me, if you've been in my program, I've had people doing this as many as 20 business quarters in a row. That's 5 years. Because every time you study, we're not reading, we're studying. We're going beyond that to figure out, using our conscious awareness, what the heck are all these people doing and why aren't I doing it too? And you will eventually do it. So just keep listening, enjoying, try all of this on. And yes, the continuous learning, this is it. Thank you, Damien, because what's happening is based on one of the laws, the law of vibration, and the law of attraction is a subset of that. Whatever you're thinking about the most, you're going to get. And your perception never is static. So if you're open to learning new things, then you're going to start putting pieces of the puzzle together for yourself. Oh, I didn't do that last time. Oh, and today's a really great story because this is a story about 3 feet from gold. And you will know. Yes, thank you. It was Damien. Oh, didn't it show? That's right. Thank you. Thank you. Aaron is telling me. Ever the producer, right, Aaron? This is what your friends do, and those who support you and who you support, right? You slip in and send them a message, and you want them to be successful. Well, that's what this is all about. It's within your reach, but because you have conscious awareness, you have to know things you didn't know before. You have to. You have to keep doing that. So when people wake up and they go, is this all there is? Right? There's got to be more. That's what I did. So in the introduction, it's all about definite purpose. Let me just check something here really quickly. I want to see what the next slide is. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's good. Here we go. All right. So it's all about definite purpose. And today's story is 3 feet from gold. There are 3 stories in the introduction, and we'll hit them each one because they're incredibly powerful and filled with the simplest, most profound concepts that you'll resonate with. You know these things. If you're a thought leader, if you're already in continuous learning, oh, there's Bethan. She's calling in from the United Kingdom. Glad you're here, my dear. We're going to go 30 more minutes. This is 45 minutes, a lot to comprehend and a lot of me, right? You may want to take a break before you go on to your next thing. Okay. This particular story is about quitting. Quitting is a decision. And there's a book, 3 Feet from Gold, which extracts the simplicity of the story and embellishes it. And I will share with you today the principle behind it and why it's so important for you not to quit. Quitting is a decision, and there are only rare circumstances when you ever want to quit. And you will learn with me the signs. Well, really, am I just afraid, or is this just an obstacle? Can I overcome this obstacle? It's all based on your definite purpose in the introduction. What you want and why you want it. What difference will it make in the world? And it's strong enough and compelling enough for you to wake up every day and not allow your fear and your fears, which are real. I kind of feel like Kamala Harris today, the way she talks, oh my God, watching too much MSNBC. Anyway, so the thing about this is that you have to want this enough and want one thing at a time, enough that the fears you have because you failed at it before do not overpower your compelling purpose of service. So, in my view, we all have the same purpose in life, to serve. But each decade, it changes, doesn't it? We get smarter, we get better, and we serve in different ways. But the way we feel the happiest, and what Napoleon Hill found out, and what I found out, is that it is wealth, health, and happiness that is available to us as long as we keep learning. And be mindful of your time, where you invest your time. That's why I've got these recorded. So this is the beginning of the 12-week series. And I'll tell you later that I'm not going to be here next Friday. It'll be the first time that I can. Oh, no, there was a second time when I was ill. The second time in 2.5 years, because I'm in the Work-Life Balance Summit, which starts next Friday and Saturday all day. So I've committed to this. I've done this before. So bear with me. If you want to know what to do next week so you're consistently involved, watch this again. You can go back and watch another introduction, the first of 12. Make sure you get this, because repetition is how we learn. And these are the most important stories. All right. So this is, oh, look, Dr. Marcia is here, my friend. Wonderful. Dr. Marcia is a Christian leadership coach, but she opens to all religions. And the things she shares, I don't study the New Testament, but the things that I study resonate with what she's saying. So as I said before, all of this information has been written many, many times, and people study different works to become expert. So I know that what Dr. Marcia is talking about relates perfectly to the work that I do. So it's all about you getting what you know and what you need to know so that you can go through these 13 principles, which are very natural. I actually have a friend, when I first did Think and Grow Rich Masterminds in 2008, they were by telephone. Remember the telephones with the cord? I mean, maybe there were some cell phones. I don't remember. But anyway, and she was in Charlotte. She had a dream. One day she was sitting on her porch, and the sun was shining on all her hanging plants, which were lined up across the top of the porch, and they're really high, like she couldn't reach them. You're welcome, Dr. Marcia. She couldn't reach them, and she was sitting there. She noticed that the back sides of the plants that are facing the house looked awful, but the ones that are facing the sun were gorgeous. And one thing you'll learn here in this training is one sound idea is all you need. One sound idea is all you need. So she's thinking, wow, I wonder if there was a way to swivel the plants. How would that work? Long story short, she met with an engineer. They created the design, the mechanical engineer, the design. They got it patented. She spent tens of thousands of dollars, 10, 15 years creating the merry-go-round. And her name is Meredith, and her nickname was Mary. And I actually have several of them. Now, unfortunately, like my own chocolate company, it was like a $75,000 MBA and the mistakes that you can make. Right? But you invested and you learned from your mistakes. Well, the same thing happened with Meredith, only she was $30,000 or $40,000 in. And it made it all the way to fulfillment. But I asked her I walked through all the principles, and this is the point, where she didn't know the principles. So I asked her privately before we got into it, did you do this? Did you have a definite purpose? Was it clear? What was it? Why are you doing it? What difference is it going to make for people? I'm thinking about, I'm a boomer. It's going to help me and senior citizens too. And there's a whole lot of us coming along, right? So that was it. Then we went to desire, the starting point of all achievement. Oh God, she wanted this, all right. She put her money where her mouth is. She found the engineer, split the business with him. And of course, he came after her toward the end for money. And it was just, it was a lesson. But then I went on to faith, autosuggestion, decision, persistence, specialized knowledge. I didn't get into the mystery of sex transmutation, but that wasn't necessary here, right? But anyway, she had done them all. So what I'm telling you is to be listening for when you've had these experiences and distinguish your experience from the one I'm going to share with you. So here's how this went. Let me make sure. Yeah, got that. That's perfect. The uncle of R.U. Darby, who you will get to know who R.U. Darby is, got the lust for gold. That was 1849, and everybody was charging out to California and Colorado, and he got the itch, right? And so he decided that he was going to go out and find a claim. And sure enough, he did. He actually went out and actually found a claim and got gold and realized he had a good spot. Then he hid the mine, because then he went home and gathered all his friends and family and told them that he was in this endeavor because he needed equipment, big equipment, right? A lot of expensive equipment 100 years ago, right? And it was be expensive today. Well, they all loaned him the money. And I'm just checking my notes because as many times as I've studied this story, whenever I read it again, I find something new. And I've studied it and read it over 90 times now, over 16 years. Every time there's something new because I keep growing in awareness. I see something new, something that wasn't clear for me, all of a sudden became clear. It will be clear when you're a vibrational match to understanding that concept. And this is very often why you may have a huge dream and you don't get it when you want it. Well, our universe wants you to succeed. And if you are not a vibrational match, that is to the size of the goal you've set, that is that you could jump right in there and enjoy yourself the whole way, then the universe will hold back until you've done your learning. So sometimes if the goal is bigger than you, and you're not really ready, it's kind of like, well, maybe your goal is to win $1 million in the lottery. Disaster. You are not a vibrational match. And if you look at the history, people that have won the lottery, it's not a pretty picture for most because we're not a match to it. We don't know how to handle that money. People are coming out of the woodwork. We're afraid. We've got the fear of poverty. Oh my God, what am I going to do? Buy cars and everything. And some of them end up killing themselves and end up worse than before. So we have a very wise God or universe. All right. So these fellas, so he comes back. He got the money, bought all the equipment, and came back. And he started mining. And he had people with him. Things were going great. But let me just step back a little bit. Before he went home to get all that money, forgive me for being a little out of sequence here, he did mine ore. And he brought it to the geologist or whoever it is that evaluates the mine and how much gold it was there. And it was a good one. Later on, he found out it was the richest vein in Colorado that he had stumbled on. But he didn't get it because he quit. So what happened was he's mining and he knows it's going to take several years of mining this gold to pay back everybody at home, at least 3 years. And then after that, it would just be all gravy. But then something happened. The gold vein dried up. All right, let me see if I can take your name off the screen here. I kind of forgot you were there, but you're a beautiful one to have there. Let me see who else is here. I'm going to say, hello, Egibar. I'm so glad to have you here. Thank you. And Damien is still here. Okay, so not a lot of excitement today, except the people that I love the most are here, so who cares, right? I don't have a lot of friends, but the ones I do show up. And it's wonderful. Okay, so all of a sudden the gold vein dries up. And they don't know what to do. You know, R.U. Darby's uncle is going nuts. He's got all this money. He's made some to pay back, but this is not how he wanted to go. And they tried everything they knew, everything they could. The important thing here is finally he quit. And that's what most of us do because we don't know what the solution is yet. He was unaware of what he ought to do. And this is his lesson, okay, which is one of the principles of success. Oh, Janelle. Hi, Janelle. Oh, Gabe, you're so sweet. Look who's here, Gabe. Gabe and I are busy making sure you guys know that you can stay right here on LinkedIn and learn plenty from the audio and LinkedIn Live. Save time, save money, and there's less BS on this site. Not saying there isn't, but much less than some of the other platforms. Yes, and Janelle, wonderful. Janelle is a lovely new friend. I'm so glad you're here. Okay. So they quit. And he sold the whole mine and all those probably hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment to the site junk man. Now, the junk man had been around. So he went and found the local geologist, the person who on site or in the area who knew about all of this. And the geologist says, oh, well, the only problem is the person quit because they didn't know about fault lines. Who knew 100 years ago they knew about fault lines? And he basically said, you're about 3 feet from picking the vein back up. And sure enough, and it was the richest vein ever. Now, I will tell you, R.U. Darby learned from this lesson. He went on, he never forgot what it was like to quit. And so he went into life insurance, and there were only 50 people each year in the United States that sold over $1 million worth of life insurance. And he was one because he said he remembered. Let's see, let me see if I can find this here. Exactly what the lesson was. Before success will be temporary defeat, and that he would never, ever stop attempting to sell life insurance to protect his clients if he heard a no. So because he didn't accept no, he learned that lesson. And he did, by the way, pay everybody back. He paid everybody back. So what are you hearing here? Have you figured out? Hi, Christy. Christy is a wonderful, wonderful friend who I met earlier in the work-life balance. It had a different name, the Spring Summit. That's where I met Christy and get to know her. She loves to support other people by reposting. You know, she'll say comments too, and she'll do her own posts, but she really makes the algorithms go wild with my posts. So don't stop. I love it, right? And if I didn't tell you, Bethan is a coach in the United Kingdom, and her specialty, I'm going to stick my neck out here and say, is that if you're a long-term caregiver to a friend or a family member, it's not an easy thing to do day in and day out. So I recommend that if you're in that place, or if you know someone that's struggling with their own mental health or their own wealth, health, and happiness, but they're really bogged down in service, but still it can be depressing, you want to get in touch with Bethan. Oh, and look, Robert Hayes is here. He's a new friend. Robert, thank you so much for being here. I'm so glad to see you. And Ashif, the closer I get, the more I see how far I am. Rumi, how do we know how close or far we are? It's not a tricky quote. There are signs. How we know? When you work with me, when you really understand faith, which is in a few weeks, I will show you what the signs are as to how close it is. Because once you start seeing the signs from the universe, they're indications that you're this far, you're 3 feet. So that was a great question. And Ashif, by the way, is, well, I call him Rumi reincarnated, frankly, because whatever concept I share, I'm pretty succinct, but he can do it in 3 words. I do it in 5 words, he does it in 3. I do it in 4 words, he does it in 2. It's like name that tune. Anyway, so now I have to figure out where I was. Oh yes. Okay. So we're back into, let me just see, 10:30. Gosh, we're early. Do you guys have any questions? And thank you for saying we're all friends. Gabe is lovely, and Aaron is a visioneer. Thank you for that. Is a visioneer, and he's what do I want to say? He has this uncanny ability to get inside people's heads about what lights them up. What is their inner phoenix? What is the thing that maybe we're afraid to do? But you know, spirit is always busting to express itself from you into the world. Like you can barely, if you're in love with service or how you're providing with someone, you just can't get it out fast enough. Your appreciation. And so Aaron gets with people, and he's done this with me too, that have an idea or a dream, and then he's able to visualize how it would be on film and what kind of music would be required. It's a really interesting synergy of vibrations, and that is true synergy when you get with someone and they totally get who you are, right? And so there's a lot of people like that. So if you ever want, like, oh gosh, I don't know, maybe you'd like to do something for Christmas for your family and grab all your pictures of you and the family and talk to Aaron. He will, if he has time and it's early enough, he will create you a 1 or 2, maybe even 3-minute beautiful musical and visual montage of you, of who you are. So you might want to do that. And it's very, very reasonable and a super big gift. And no, I don't get percentages either. Okay. I do it because I'm so pleased with the work he's done with me. All right, so just let me looking back here, everybody who's here. So what we've learned here, and actually what I'll do is I'll go into the next lesson since we're not here next week. So this lesson was 3 feet from gold. And let me just take this off. Okay, so the thing to remember here is that he was compelled, but not enough. Not enough. And what the junk man knew that he didn't know was seeking specialized knowledge. That is one of the 13 principles of success. Find the expert. Get the answer. I have a couple of friends on LinkedIn who decided that they were going to go live. Bless them. I love them. Now, I've trained people to go live over weeks, over 12 weeks in a goal, and they get really good at it, get over their stage fright, learn how to do the studio so that they can actually serve people rather than worrying about all the technical stuff. Well, these 2 souls didn't ask anybody and failed repeatedly. They'd go live, it didn't go live, it was LinkedIn's fault, it was some kind of excuse, it was must be the software, maybe it's Mercury retrograde. And I sent them both a note and I said, go find somebody who knows how to do this and let them show you how. So after several attempts, they moved to audio, which they knew. So the lesson is seek specialized knowledge. Seek expert advice. I had the same thing happen when I was offered by the United States government a payment book of $80,000 to pay every month $5,000 a month. Now, it wasn't me. It was my ex-husband. We were separated. He had done some things that caused and filed bankruptcy so that they came after me. And I had no clue. And I couldn't pay $5,000 a month. I was making $2,500 a month. This was around $2,000, which was plenty for me to live. I've never wanted a whole lot of money. I never really had it. But anything I wanted, I got. So there's a lot of stories of how I've manifested tens of thousands of dollars for something that I was so compelled to do and so afraid. But being compelled, the desire had me forget about the fear. I didn't care about the fear. So I've lost my place again. That's what happens when you get older. And I go off on tangents. And if I have somebody up here, or if I have like Paulette, she'll send me a note and say, oh, you were talking about this. So this is what happens when you get old. You forget things. And I know that doesn't include you. All right. So we got specialized knowledge. Don't quit. Go find somebody. Have you ever done this? Have you ever been on your way to something and then you decided to quit because you couldn't manage the obstacles? Did you go and seek specialized knowledge, experts? If you did and you still were forced to leave that experience as unsuccessful, what I can tell you for sure is something big is coming, because based on the law of rhythm, your biggest low, whenever that is for you, for me, it was a divorce around 2000, 2003. For you, it could be filing bankruptcy. It could be someone dying, someone sick, whatever it is. I won't say someone dying, but well, that could be part of it. When that happens, the universe promises that at some point, you just don't know when, so keep your eyes open looking, you're going to meet the exact opposite vibration. So if it was very, very low and miserable, keep your eyes open, because by law, you have to reach that pinnacle. Give you a quick example about Tony Robbins. About 15 years ago, maybe 20, I met one of his coaches who no longer coaches with him. And to this very point, this is the guy that taught me this before I knew about universal law. He said, Leslie, we had to leave the room whenever Tony was in a bad mood. Now, I want you to think about this. How much money and how successful he is, that his lows will be as low as his highs are. So they all skedaddled because he was miserable when he was angry. So you see, even if you had to quit ultimately and you did seek expert advice and you did do everything you knew to do, you were not sitting on the couch. What I can tell you for sure is keep your eyes open. Your success is going to come from an unexpected source. It is not going to be from me doing a workshop that I'm going to tell you about the first week in December. That's not. I've made good money. I've paid back what I invested. Actually, I've made more than what I invested. But a lot of times for people, the fear of poverty won't even let them invest. But I can tell you that your results almost always exceed or match your investment. Look back in your own history when you invested for something that you really, really wanted and it came out better than you ever thought. So seek expert advice. Do not quit. Find out everything you can before you throw in the towel. Okay. I'm going to stop there and just have a couple more things to share with you. Let me see. Oh, all you, if I counted up all the, oh, Lisa Marie, you're here. Thank you so much. I've been meaning to get into one of your rooms. I feel so soft and flowy whenever I see your picture. I don't know what it is about you, but there's something. Maybe it's because you're looking upward. I don't know. All right. So let me do this. I'm going to, let's see here. Yeah. Okay. Now let me just tell you about this really quickly, because goal achievement is my specialty. And over the last 16 years, I've done this workshop. I started out with it being 2 days, then 1 day. I got really good at it and I can do it in 3 hours. It is transformation. Effectively, if you've ever been in a transformational experience, the purpose of this 3 hours, December 5th, noon to 3 on Zoom with me, is to connect with the universe, and you will download all your 2025 goals, have them written and in priority order. These are things you've never thought of. How I do this, if you've ever done it, I can tell you simply. You can kind of imagine how it works. You can learn this with me by doing the 12-week course and doing it again and doing it again with a new goal for each time. Or you can jumpstart with this intensive. What I will do is I will fill you up with concepts that will expand your awareness. It's like your mind becomes a sponge. It is so full of concepts that are inspiring to you, and you're so in your conscious awareness. Literally, when we begin the process of creating your goals, you're in connection with the universe. You see, you actually can connect with God or the universe through your conscious awareness, through intuition and imagination. Those are the portals to God. And that's why we pray. We're using our imagination. Please make them feel better. We're raising our vibration. So you're going to be in a state, a mindset state. And you can trust me, I've done this over 50 times with people. You will walk out of there and ease into Christmas this year with no worries about what you're going to do in your business next year. It will be an anxiety-free holiday season for you. I used to worry like crazy about what am I going to do in January? How am I going to earn right once I got out of corporate? What am I going to do next? So now I've set it at $75 because it's 2025 goals. It's before December 25th this year that you'll have all of your goals. So I'm charging $25 an hour, which equals $75. Typically, this is much more, but I'm not in a place that I really want people to experience what it's like to go through Christmas and then round the corner into 2025 with confidence and knowing that you created it all as a co-creator. And I know how to do this. I've done this, and it's one of my specialties. So I will put the link. It's pretty easy, tiny URL /goals 2025. I've had people that have done this year after year after year. They bring back their journal a couple of years later, and they're just blown away at how much they did. Just blown away. Oh my God, Leslie, I did this, I did this, I did this, because you don't always remember. But when you create like this, using visualization and your creative imagination, not synthetic, but creative, which means that you are actually downloading or receiving or working with our universe, which is an untapped source of universal love. Now, look, you don't have to understand exactly how all this works to know that it works. I still don't understand it 100%, but I manifest like crazy. And this summer, I had created 25 years ago this immense goal, this story, didn't even know how good it was. It was just something I did to pass the time, literally, right? And just a couple of years ago, I woke up again and wrote the story. And this summer, I was able to enjoy the whole book launch. There were no worries. I would get ideas, we'd implement them. It was wealth, health, and happiness with really no fear, because I knew I was a vibrational match to this big thing. And it took me all those years of learning to get to that place. So you can have smaller goals and be a vibrational match for that anytime. All right. As we move on, we're getting real close here. Next week, No Think and Grow Rich Live will return on October 11th. So you really do want to do something this next week to continue this. So I recommend you go over to my page. You watch this again. It's 45 minutes. Or you can go back 12 weeks or 24 weeks or whatever the next one is, 36. Or, you know the drill. Because this lesson is in all of them. Repetition is how we learn. That's how we learned our multiplication tables. I mean, that's how this works. So the more we do it, whoops, wrong thing. Here we go. Oh, yeah. The more we repeat something, the more aware we are. All of a sudden, things start getting clear. Out of confusion will come clarity if you sit with it. If you will do that, then you will get clear and go, oh, I know what to do. And that's why when you're watching a movie and you've watched it a second time and you say, well, wait a minute, I watched this a month ago and I didn't see that. You were at a different level of awareness. You were on a different thought frequency. When Aaron and I worked together on this book trailer, we were on the same creative thought frequency. And then we came down. Whenever we worked, we went back up to that frequency, which is love. It is the highest vibration. And then we employed mastermind, which was this, and you do this all the time. He'd get ideas for me, I'd get ideas for him. You do this all the time. So we're 1 minute over. I am so grateful that you are all here, that I got to acknowledge you. And I will remind you as you move through the next couple of weeks. I do want to tell you, though, a couple of other things. Tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern, the only time in my view, you can tune in to Aaron Gibson's Soul Man Live experience. In my estimation, to date, I have not witnessed anything at the level of invoking all your senses into a complete freedom, music, video, and most of all, raising awareness and honoring each of us who are all heroes. We've all had our low moments. Some have had more low, and we go, oh my gosh, I don't think I could ever do that, right? But we all are a hero, and that's what Aaron does. So he focuses in on somebody who's made a magnificent journey of transformation, music, video, and so come on in at 8 o'clock. And then next weekend, October 4th and 5th, is the Work Balance Summit, Work Balance Life Summit. Check in with Damian Kinsey, go to his page. You'll see there is an investment, but the reward will always exceed or outmatch this small investment they're asking. And also Sunday morning. Well, I'm not going to get into that right now. That's too much for right now. Anyway, yay. All sorts of really good things happening here. Each week I put out a carousel, and I've asked each one of these people if they're consistent. I don't have an admin, so if they have a weekly live or audio room, then I put it on a carousel and post it and tagging all the hosts, and then they reshare it so into their networks, right? And Gabe does this another way. I don't know where he's getting his information, but he's got people subscribing, and every day he pushes out a whole bunch of it. So you're covered. Also, in preparation for this workshop, December 5th, every Wednesday, I started last week, I'm doing goal achievement and the law of attraction. It is an audio room at noon Eastern, and it will get you ready, right, for the goal achievement, because that's what we're going to be doing in the intensive. Whether you go or not, you'll enjoy it, because I can weave in the universal laws with the mechanics of achievement. And with that, I'll leave you with this thing, and keep in mind, I always have a hard time. I went and bought a new mouse because I thought the reason that I couldn't end this stream and do certain things was because I had broken the mouse from banging it on the desk so many times when it wouldn't work. So I went and bought another one. Well, I still can't get StreamYard to operate functionally or the way it should. Remember this: when you walk through a storm, hold your head up high and don't be afraid of the dark, because at the end of the storm, there's always a golden sky, isn't there? and the sweet, simple song of the lark. Have a fabulous weekend, everyone. I'll see you next week and on the boards here. Watch this again. Really think about how great you are, that you're no different than these people that have made immense strides in their lives. They didn't quit, and when they got stumped, they looked for experts and specialized knowledge, of which we have a whole host of specialized people here, including my friend Elizabeth, who is a hypnotherapist and a nurse and a multi-author. So they're right here. We're all right here for you. And now I'm going to try to end the stream. Yes, and here we go with that same thing happening again. So I'm going to try to smile as I become very annoyed. You guys can leave anytime you want. Hopefully this is going to stop. Oh, so frustrating. I will not quit. I will not quit. I will not quit. I will not quit. I'm not quitting. I wish I could figure out how to do this. Doggone it. Maybe I can log out. We'll see. Well, what happens if I just disappear this whole screen?